She is that.
with her journalistic background. She's
Yes.
a bulldog, a champion for justice.
And she has been there and done that for, gosh, I would think probably 30 or 35 years now. Single focus. She's a brilliant journalist.
Since the mid 80s, certainly when she was gigging it in Denver
Mm-hmm.
at the television station there.
And you can't go wrong with that. And again, earthfiles.com. Check it out.
So what else is going on with you, Kat?
Oh, my
You
goodness.
got your new show.
I have my new show, which I absolutely adore. I am struggling to learn how to maneuver that website because it's different from anything I've ever fooled with, but I'm getting there. I am getting ready to do, well, we mentioned Eureka Springs. I am going to Contact in the Desert. I am probably not, going to be doing this year's Alien Con in California. It's going to be in LA if you get a chance to go, and they have the best panels if you are into all of the ancient alien things, but they cater to such a large crowd. I don't know how they do it. The first one was a little bit difficult simply because of logistics. The second one that I covered this past year was in Pasadena, California. Still some growing pains. It was, you just cannot believe the number of people who are fascinated by these topics. There is such an awakening happening amongst the human race that it's just mind-boggling. They're
Certainly
craving
is.
it.
And I'll be at Contact in the Desert with you,
Yes.
as you know. And I am also submitting to present at events. And I will be presenting for the Northern California MUFON group in just about a month, a little less than a month now. It's going to be Saturday, March 2nd. And I'm on Facebook, Jean, Jean Broida, Broida. I write as Lightworker111 for thedailyconspiracy.com and other fine publications. My website is www.lightwork111.com, and you can email me there, Jean at lightwork111.com. I welcome dialogue. I welcome contributions to lightwork111.com, which is a publication site for not only myself, but other people with things to say, metaphysical things to say. A hyperspace, cyberspace forum for metaphysicists. And if you don't know what that is or what a lightworker is, head over there and take a look. See if you vibe to it.
It's a great site.
I have a lot of fun with it. And I'm about to load up a bunch more content. I got permission to upload stuff I've submitted to the Daily Conspiracy.
Oh.
And although a lot of it's political, I write a lot of science and tech and economy and UFO stuff, paranormal UFO stuff. So I'm going to publish without ads, without advertising on lightwork111.com and hopefully get other writers. I have one very talented writer who's got a couple articles up. She submitted a couple more, and I'm going to get those up pretty quickly here and get that rocking and rolling and raise consciousness through literature.
I think that's a great goal.
Sharing concepts, yeah.
And one thing I absolutely know is if that's what you're choosing to do, it'll happen. You've got great tenacity.
Well, thank you so much for that. I'm going to have a lot of fun working up the presentation for California MUFON. For one thing, these people are sophisticated ufologists, so there won't be any crop circle 101 sort of presentation.
Right.
Which I have given to people I assume have no prior knowledge of crop circles. This group will be savvy, and after a little bit of what's going on with the topic, I want to get into a guided meditation as I may have said at the very beginning of all this, but I think we were having sound difficulties. And I want to be sure just to mention the concept because I think it's really groovy
It
that
is.
instead of talking about crop circles, let's look at some pictures. And I did get permission of the Temporary Temples couple, Steve and Karen Alexander, to get copyright reproduction permission for their images so we can bathe in the imagery with mood music, soothing, meditative music, and disengage the talking brain, which is the stuff of a radio show, admittedly, but in a live presentation, unbuckle our minds, the front part of our mind from the back part, just for a while, and enjoy imagery and music and see where thoughts and inspiration lead. Are these circle formations, and they're not all circular, but are these patterns supposed to evoke emotions or thoughts or inspirations? The way you were talking about, Kat, musicians and Grant Cameron asking musicians how they get their inspiration. How can you write an epic in 20 to 30 minutes? And they say it just came to me, and maybe it was channeled from another source, I believe was the implication there. And where does inspiration come from? How come some people get ideas, that very creative ideas, and other people don't? Or is that true? Does everybody get creative ideas? They just don't act on them. They suppress them.
I think that's a strong possibility.
Does society beat out those ideas through negative reinforcement? There's no percentage, there's no gain in being creative for kids in school. You've got to obey and learn to pass a test.
Lockstep.
That's
with your
another
brain.
one of my topics, Common Core, and how it has failed the American public. And teachers were the one who brought that topic to my mind. Teachers who are unhappy with teaching to the test, much less the students having to learn to the test. The flip side of that is that the teachers have to teach to the test. It's very limiting. It's not really teaching, it's training. I make the distinction when I teach. I teach a tutor one-on-one, and I had a discussion with a father of a child who was quite bright. He was adept at the piano, and I was taking him the long way round, if you will, with music theory because he had a very intuitive understanding of music, and he practiced hard and gave great results. But his father was not happy with his progress and wanted him on demand to be able to whip off a Christmas carol when they went to visit Grandma. And I said, can do, but please understand that what you're talking about is training. I can teach him Joy to the World. I'm sorry, Deck the Halls. I can teach him Deck the Halls. In 2-3 weeks is what we had there, but it's not teaching music theory. It's not teaching fundamentals of music. I'm just going to show him a pattern of keys and he'll repeat it. And that was fine. And I actually trained this kid who was so bright at 8 years old, not only to play, it was Jingle Bells, whatever I said, Deck the Halls, Jingle Bells, the simple one, jingle bells, jingle all the way, the simple one that everybody knows. Kids love this. Okay, so they went to Grandma's, and on demand, yes, he needed. In fact, he said, "Grandma, you want me to play Jingle Bells?" And he went over to her piano and he stunned them all because I taught him not only to play it, but to play it with his eyes closed and basically balancing a cup of water on his head. Oh no, not that extreme, but the first time he was a smart kid and he got the names of the keys on the piano right away, A through G. He got that, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So he was all showing off about how great he could do the alphabet, and I said, okay, now do it backwards. Well, backwards alphabet is a whole different set of cognition from forward alphabet. And he looked at me like I had a horn growing out of the middle of my forehead and said, really? Basically, really? I said, really? And he had to think about it. He struggled with working it backwards. He was really concentrating. And that's when learning happens.
Yes.
It was pivotal in his development. And it taught him about himself as much as about a piano keyboard. It taught him that some things come easily, but when you just switch the perspective a little bit, the same thing all of a sudden becomes challenging. He'd never, ever had anyone show him how something like learning the letters of the keys on a piano would apply in real life that way. And then when he had backwards down, we did it together. I helped him out with this. I said, he was hesitant. He didn't want to do it. I said, he didn't want to make a mistake. And that's another problem with kids these days.
I know.
They are fearful of making a mistake. Make a mistake. That's how best we learn. We all make mistakes. I know, that's wrong. In my opinion, that's not a good way to learn or teach. So he didn't want to make a mistake, so we do it backwards together, and he finally gets at his rote memorization. You repeat it until you learn it. It's just there aren't that many of them, A through G. It's not hard. He's smart. So then I said, okay, now eyes closed. In other words, we're increasing the challenge level.
Right.
We're not just taking it at face value. We want to, because in a performance context, and I'm basically preparing any student at any level for performance anywhere, grandma's living room, the bar, anywhere, the office, break room, anywhere there might be an instrument or even singing, anything. You got to challenge. You got to push your boundaries of comfort. If you know you can play Jingle Bells blindfold with a glass of water standing on your head, which I didn't have him do, but with his eyes shut, yes. And it was all Mozart-y stuff. Stand up and with your hand behind your back. And I'm not sure we went to that extent, but I threatened him with that. In other words, I didn't want him getting complacent. And he was great. He rocked out Grandma's living room. And Dad was very proud. And I also pointed out to Dad that his parents had pulled him out of 50% of his classes. He had a 50% attendance rate, and he still was a remarkable student. I said, more power to him. So these parents were in deep denial about the talent of their child and the ability of a teacher. It's kind of like an Annie Sullivan story, except Annie Sullivan did get credit for teaching Helen Keller.
Yes, she did.
Yeah,
and she did a fine job, and we're going to stop there. She did a fine job. We are going to take our final break, and we'll be back in 2.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. And we're back. I can't believe we're back for our final segment. Gee and I have had so much fun, and we still have so many things to cover.
I feel just the same. Time flies when you're having fun.
So
there's proof, scientific evidence that we are having fun, because I can't believe we've been yakking this long already.
I know. And I get so tickled because, I love what I do.